Hey everyone, welcome to the Trendcrusher podcast. I'm Peter K. This week I speak to Cypher from UAE. Some of you may remember I had the vocalist Aaron on the podcast a couple of months ago. This time we talk about their self-titled EP and a lot more. But before we get into my chat with Cypher, I'd like to play a track by a band that I caught over the past weekend here in Mumbai at the Rampage 8, organized by the Black Blood India group. Shout out to all of them. The band is Eccentric Pendulum from Bangalore. They got on stage past midnight and there were a faithful few who caught their set. They largely played tracks from their latest album, Perspectiva Invertalis. Here's a track from it, Encaged Visions of the Unobstructed.
Go and hear me, life is survive.
And that was Eccentric Pendulum with Encaged Visions of the Unobstructed of their latest album Perspectiva Invertalis. Do check the show notes on how you can get a copy of the album. They've got some cool merch including vinyl. Check it out. Now on to my chat with Cypher. Welcome to the guys from Cypher. So just to make life easier, let's go alphabetic order. And I think Aaron goes first because AA is after Ahmed. So let's go in alphabetic order, guys. Introduce
Wait, what are
yourself
we
and what do you
talking
do?
about? I am the apparent video game player in the band and does absolutely nothing other than make fun of the other band members while they make music. I'm Aaron.
Ahmed here. Apparently, I'm the guitarist, music composer, and the very annoying one in the band who, how do we put it in very nice terms? I make myself nervous and I make everyone else in the band nervous, but, within good reason.
Come on, Mehdi.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I don't even know. I'm still on probation. I don't even know these guys properly or what my duties are in the band. But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to go with the flow, man. I mean, yeah, but apart from that, I write guitars and stuff. And yeah.
Thanks, Mehdi. I'm Nish. I play guitars in Cypher. I also play bass because it's fun. And, if the position for triangle is open, I'm down to play that too. So, I'm the band whore, basically, I'll play anything.
And
and
just
we don't have Kohli on the call. Ahmed Al Kohli. He joined us recently. He actually came to Dubai quite recently. Got himself settled, and he's our new kick-ass drummer. Unfortunately, he couldn't join the call right now, but he might pop in later. I'm not too sure. Maybe others know. But yeah, he's part of the band as well.
Yeah.
awesome. And I was gonna say, damn it, you all got a drummer because inside joke, at one of the old Discord gigs, I was the guy who was their drummer because I just pressed spacebar on a bunch of I think what was it? I don't even remember, Cubase or something like that file, which had all the drums programmed. So that's essentially how long it is since that I know both Nishit and Aaron. And this is like part two of a discussion that Aaron and I had, where we were discussing a lot of the UAE metal scene and back in the day. But at that point, we ended by saying that we need to get the Cypher Boys down once the EP is out. And hey, lo and behold, it's time. So let's start with quick reactions around the room, because at least I know through Aaron and through your social media that this has been in the works for a while. But whoever wants to go first, since now we know your voices, what's your quick reaction to the EP being out and everyone can finally hear it?
Let's go alphabetically again. Why not?
So, on my end, I would say finally. Took quite a bit of time. It was fun, and it was also quite frustrating at the same time due to many factors. I think I'll leave that for Mehdi to respond on that one.
But yeah, I mean, for me personally, I think it was definitely towards the end, it was a little frustrating because a lot of hours being spent in the final mixes and everything. And when you have like four nitpicking motherfuckers in the band, it's always like something or the other goes wrong, and then back to square one. But yeah, I think as a musical journey, I think it was great. I got to know the previous tracks as well, and I think mixing them was a lot of fun. But yeah, I felt eventually there's a lot of variety in the tracks, like what the initial stuff was and what the new stuff is. So it was also kind of challenging. But then again, at the end of the day, I think we are super glad that it's out. And yeah, I mean, that's about it.
No, Aaron, do you want to comment on the EP process? Peter's question, basically.
Yeah, so the EP itself, honestly, it was more focused on the two new tracks that we were putting out, which was technically Marcus Clone and Relativity of Existence. So Marcus Clone was pretty much Mehdi's track. Relativity of Existence was pretty much Ahmed's and Mehdi's track to an extent. But we realized that we put way too much time into getting out two tracks, when in reality, we were already putting out the other existing tracks into that same mix. A little bit of a key takeaway that I had from getting this EP out was that getting your mix right is very, very important, because I know I'm like jabbering a bit right now, but unfortunately the reality is that from a mixing perspective, it took so long because, like Mehdi said, you have five idiots constantly blabbering, constantly asking you to change things back and forth. But the reality is that's what happens when you have a band, right? So ultimately, once we got the EP out, again, my at least my ears did not like the way the songs were back to back. In other words, we chose a certain route, which of course we can choose to talk about later on in the podcast. But yeah, the EP was long, and it was a very long and drawn out process.
So just to add onto what Aaron was saying, it's basically five different minds here. It's five different minds coming from five different backgrounds, and each of us have five different ears. Mehdi, for example, his mixing process, he likes more of the very modern metal, very kind of overproduced sound. Whereas me, I am the complete polar opposite. I would go for something raw. I would go for something very raw sounding, very ambient sounding, and not too much processing involved. Aaron and Nishit, perhaps their ears were more inclined towards more of like a middle ground of both those other worlds. So I guess that's where most of the confusions and actually clashes would have to go on. Hence, why this actually took so long.
Okay, so then I have to ask you, right? And I know I'm interrupting this, but a lot of what you're talking about is just being in like this marriage with multiple partners, so to say, right? Because essentially, and this is someone who's been married for a while, where there's going to be disagreements, there's going to be different kind of things, there's going to be compromises, and stuff like that. Is that how you all feel? And we can just like get like quick reactions.
100%. I would completely agree on
110%.
what you're saying. And here's the thing. So when normally, let's just say in most bands, you have a common ground where band members are pretty much, off the same influence and of the same style of the music. We're all different. All five of us come from complete different other backgrounds. I come from more of a ambient metal, black metal, scores and soundtracks kind of background. Aaron and Nishit come from more of a tech death, slam death / death metal background. Mehdi is more metalcore. Ahmed is somewhere in between. So, and of course, the overlayer of all that comes obviously prog or gent, or if you want to call it modern metal. Now, sit five of these guys in one room and try to convince them to agree on one thing. Oh boy.
That's like I've got something to say about this. So
go.
It's a challenge, but I also think it's fucking great because we're getting five very diverse ingredients, right? And somehow we've been able to push out four amazing dishes, if you know what I mean. So it's challenging, and I don't think challenge is always a bad thing. Sure, it kind of sucks during the moment. And to answer your previous question, Peter, like the EP process was actually, for all of us, it sounds like a struggle. I know, I think the collective voice is saying, hey, you know what, it kind of sucked, this whole process. But the reality is all of us learned a lot, right? We've never been signed by a label before. So one, we learned about the really shitty paperwork and, contracts and a lot of the shit that goes on behind the scenes. We learned a lot about that. Secondly, we learned about engineering, through Mehdi, and I think Mehdi had to bear the biggest, weight of all that responsibility, to be honest. Thirdly, like Ahmed mentioned, like Imadi mentioned, sorry, there are two Ahmeds on this call. Like Imadi mentioned, we have very different styles. And I think it takes us quite a bit of time to reach that sweet spot. But when we do, it's pure magic that comes out. So it's awesome. Maybe I'm being an eternal optimist here, but like I enjoy it, through the good and the bad. It's fun shit, it's fun times with the boys.
I agree 100%. So as frustrating as it may get, sometimes I remember when I started Cypher and I had called Aaron in to start Cypher with him, I specifically told him, let's make this happen. I want people from different mindsets into Cypher. Little did I know that it would, bear such a big consequence. But again, I'm not saying this in a negative way. It's quite challenging, okay? There are often times where we don't get each other, but we eventually find some sort of middle ground in there, somehow, some way, just to please everyone.
And I think there's one thing that I might add. I don't know if it's weird or it's good, but I just can't believe that, we have such conflicting opinions, but I think the conversations are like 99% of the time still very civil, except for Aaron.
Yeah, except for Aaron. I mean, he's the exception amongst all of us, like me, Mehdi, Imadi, Kohli, we disagree a lot, but when Aaron says something, we just kind of, metaphorically turn off our hearing aids, so we just ignore
because,
it.
my ears are baby ears, apparently.
Okay, but so tell me
That
this
was
then,
pure
right?
sarcasm.
Of course. And I think what I'm also kind of curious about, right? And since I've already played a Maker's Clone on the podcast before, so I want to kind of dive in on the other track that you kind of talked about, right? Relativity of Existence, because I want to play that. Take me to that track. Whose track was it, by the way? I forget now.
So initially I had done the initial writing. Mehdi just jumped right in. And this is when Mehdi just joined the band. He was like fresh into the band. This is like my first session alone with Mehdi, just to, get to know him and understand him. So I had laid down all these riffs for him, and I couldn't really translate it like a 100%. So Mehdi just basically picked my brain and started programming the drums, adding the synths. And he looks at me and he's like, Ahmed, is this what you're looking for? I'm like, yes, thank you. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And that track actually came out in what, Mehdi? In like a week and a half, 2 tops. It was a really quick track.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Aaron jumps in with his magic. The lyrics, the vocals.
Talk me through that,
honestly,
right?
See, the thing is, Relativity was something that we actually want to go in that sort of direction. So the fact that we have this major influence from bands like Tesseract, Sky Harbor. I mean, I know Mehdi loves his Novelist and Monuments, which is way more why a Marcus clone has that little bit of core element to it. But honestly speaking, the main reason why Cypher began to begin with was the fact that we had this similar influence of how we want to dwell into these sort of music that makes everyone stand out. But again, I never thought in my wildest dreams we would actually have a track that sounded so similar to either a Tesseract / Sky Harbor. Honestly speaking, because we were trying as much as we could. And I know for a fact that I did a track with Imadi as well, which is with Project Imadi itself. And we were trying to strive the same thing with, trying to get it to be Sky Harbor-ish or Tesseract. But when I heard Relativity, it's a very straightforward track, by the way. Very straightforward. But it's got those elements that make you like, oh, okay. Oh, time signal change. Oh, this, oh, that. So yeah, it was really fun. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. So with that introduction kind of out of the way, here's who wants to introduce the track?
Wait, are we playing
Yeah.
ROE?
Yeah, your OE, your OC.
Ahmed, Al-Imadi, please introduce your own track.
I mean, it's not just mine anymore, right? It's ours now.
Ours. Sorry.
track.
Ours.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know how to introduce this track aside by saying. So all I'm gonna say before actually having this track come into play is whenever I start with writing anything, and you'll clearly hear it in this track. I come from a very score and soundtrack the background. So that's always like my signature. You always hear those elements in there, and definitely also in the upcoming tracks. But anyways, for now, we stick to this one being Relativity of Existence.
From the crash of the days, it's a contrast. Cannot soar to the heights of my complex world. The sound of what's just in front of me is not what I am used to know. I can bear hope, changed by the seasons. Shocked at what is comfort.
right, that was Relativity of Existence, and I've got the boys from Cypher here. Now, one of the things I was also very curious, right, is this, now that you all talked about, the entire process that you all had of recording the EP and everything that you all kind of learned from it, where does this take further the sound of Cypher, right? Is it continue going to be sort of a mixed bag, which the EP, if I can use that description to it, what's the kind of sound you're looking at?
Not too sure if I should give this away, boys.
You
But
should. You should.
we are set to publish another track, okay? Probably in the next 2 to 3 months tops. And this is going to sound completely different to what we've done in the past. It sounds different, it feels different, takes a different approach. I don't know how to basically express it more, but all I'm going to say at this point is that it's very movie soundtrack-ish, is all I'm going to say from here. I'm not sure if anyone else wants to add, to this.
I think, yeah, the focus has kind of shifted towards more of an ambient style. Or I think a better way to put it is like there's more emphasis on atmospheric elements as opposed to just, guitar, drums, bass, vocals. So yeah, that's the direction we're kind of heading in right now. And, as you can see, even from the EP, the later tracks have more synths, more influence of, ambience, atmosphere, more breaks as well, atmospheric breaks. Yeah, exactly what Mehdi said, basically. That's the direction we're heading in. Of course, each one, like Imadi mentioned earlier, we all come from different backgrounds. So we still throw our unique influences in there, but not necessarily in terms of song structure, but rather in terms of, I don't know, guitar licks, drum fills. We throw our own little unique twist to it.
He's just going to end up writing some other track alongside me in Vietnam. So fun fact, by the way, Peter, Digital Vortex was written while I was here and Nish was in Vietnam. We were exchanging videos and Guitar Pro files, and that's how it actually came to play.
Yeah, and it was a fun exercise for me too, because I never actually wrote riffs without a guitar in hand. But it really, working with Ahmadi was awesome because he'd send me videos and I'll just be like, shit, man, I don't have anything to play. And then just experiment on Guitar Pro until it sounds nice. And the biggest shock was I came back and I'm like, fuck, I can't even play this. I tabbed out some very difficult things on Guitar Pro. And I guess for the listeners, Guitar Pro is a software where you can write music and hear how it sounds like, basically.
Okay, so the two segments I definitely knew I wanted to do with the band, and I think Aaron can take a backseat to this because we went very extensive on this the last time we spoke. But let's start off with how I know you, Nishit, right? And we were discussing Aaron and me in terms of just the UAE metal scene going back in the day with Discord. So take me back to like, if you had like one core memory from back then, and I can't believe I said core memory, but let's go with it, from like say 10 odd years or even longer in the UAE scene, what would be something that you will never forget?
How small the scene was and how tight the scene was, right? Like, I think the scene is still as incompetent as it ever was in terms of production and gigs. But that's not me bitching, right? I'm just being honest. Quality of sound ain't the greatest. But core memories, it was an extremely small scene. Everybody knew each other, right? And everyone supported each other. It didn't matter like how small or big the band was. I think another core memory is the Annihilation gigs. Those were awesome. I forgot who used to organize those, but used to happen in Horrorlands. We saw a lot of bands there. So yeah, I mean, those are the core memories. And of course, hanging out at the chai shop in Dara.
Okay, cool. Now, from my conversation with Aaron, Ahmed, you're also another OG from back then. So tell me one of your memories from back in the UAE scene then.
I mean, those were the really good days. If you ask me, those were the best days, in my opinion. Like Nishit said, it was a lot smaller. I hope I don't sound too politically incorrect by saying this. It was smaller, but you had a very tight support system and you had a lot of skill going around. And again, I don't mean to sound politically incorrect by saying this, but you had guys like Nercel, you had Nephilium, you had Discord, obviously these guys, Billy Bob, a bunch of good bands, like just a bunch of really tight bands who were confident and knew
You're
exactly
forgetting.
what they were doing. Yeah, tell me, Aaron.
You're forgetting White Morgue.
White Morgue, sorry, man.
That was just recent, bro.
Okay.
I thought you guys were going to say perversion and all of that.
Exactly.
Or even
Perversion was
Morgue.
good. Yeah,
Morgue
sorry,
were the
sorry.
OGs, dude. Not even White
Morgue, yeah,
Morgue
yeah,
were
yeah.
the OGs.
Morgue, yeah. Those guys are OGs. But yeah, that's basically my memory of it. I mean, it was fun. Like at the time, I used to help out the guys, help them carry the amps, set up the venue. Very simple setup, very humble, but it was a lot of fun. The crowd was great. People were great. Musicians were even better. Sound obviously was a different ball game, but they made it work.
Yeah, I think to add on to Mehdi's point, like it was way more tight knit. Not to say that the current scene has gone to shit or anything, but obviously with more people, you expect the scene to stay the same or be on the same team. But we have a few camps right now in the metal scene in Dubai, unfortunately, right? But back then, it didn't matter if you're into death metal, black metal, or just like heavy metal. Everyone hung out in the same places. Everybody knew each other. It was a more cohesive unit, if that makes sense.
So can
Okay.
I be non-diplomatic?
Yes, yes, sure. Go for it, Aaron.
The scene is absolute crap right now. Absolute crap. There is no such thing as cohesion. There is no such thing as this term called supporting the local scene. That is dead right now. We probably discussed this also in our last podcast, and I'm going to say it again. Dubai scene is trying their best to be a thing, but unfortunately, it will never go far until you support the local bands that are trying their best to actually make music, not do covers, not try to stand in a bar and play absolute trash. I'm talking about musicians that are making an effort, spending an amount of money on getting their equipment right, and yet you have a full house not even caring for 1 second about who the hell is on stage. So yeah, that's it. That's the reality.
I would agree with
Love
what
how the rest of the band is being diplomatic, but no, I disagree.
I would agree with what Aaron is saying 100%. It's the guys who are putting all the legwork who are not going to get any support whatsoever. It's the guys who don't put any work whatsoever, but just are well connected within the so-called scene, are the ones that are going to get a lot of backing and support, basically. Sad reality, but I mean, it is what it is. And I'm not even going to talk about Cypher, by the way. Plenty of great bands out there, by the way, that are not getting recognized. No one's really doing them much justice, honestly speaking. And I'm not even going to talk about Cypher, by the way. Keep Cypher aside. Plenty
But
other
okay.
bands out there.
Okay, which is actually a great segue to the next part I wanted to talk about. And thanks for that, Ahmed. Is while I've been like on the outside of the UAE scene for quite some time, so I invariably kind of see what's happening, what are the bands. But if there are bands you want to give a shout out to, and maybe let's play a track by some of them, who are the bands that those who have no idea about who are currently like who definitely need to get their due?
Ahmed, go ahead. One of the Ahmeds, go ahead.
Unfortunately, this band is no longer active. Mehdi was in this band as well. Callous Minds, they were well recognized, but I feel they deserved way more support than they actually got. Unfortunately, they recently disbanded. So definitely shout out to them. Mehdi was in that band, and he's currently with us now. Manav from Callous Minds, shout out to him. Great guy, and also a very close friend to the band as well. Like I said, unfortunately, those guys had to end.
So, Aaron, your turn.
So, from back in the day, let's try with do you have any tracks from Perversion?
Good choice.
And that was Perversion from back in the day. Shout out to Mahmood. I have no idea what he's up to right now, but it's crazy to think that like this was stuff that was released like 10 odd years and even longer in UAE, but that's how it is. Okay, quick segue to current times and future of Cypher. Now that you all have got a drummer, what's the plan with performing live and taking like not just the EP but also your new songs live?
So we have been practicing lately. We've been practicing our songs to actually take live. Not the easiest thing to do on this earth, because everyone knows this. Going from studio to actually pulling things off live is a whole different ball game. And that too, especially our newer stuff and our upcoming stuff, is going to make things a lot more challenging, and which is going to require us to invest a lot more money in a lot more expensive gear just to make that happen. And the reason that being is because we have so much going on in our tracks. So if you look at our studio session, you'll see I think Mehdi no less than 25 to 30 tracks filled with ambience, with strings, with noise, a little bit of noise here and there. There's so much going on. And the tough part about that is if you remove all of those elements out from the song, it's going to sound very dead and empty, unfortunately. So it's just one of those things, where you're kind of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But to answer your question, we are prepping for it, but it's not going to be easy from especially an investment standpoint, let's just say.
Okay, and definitely looking forward to probably it being sooner than later. But there's a lot we can chat about, and I think we should definitely probably leave some time for when you'll have the next single out or something else happening there. Maybe, I don't know who, performing live or something like that. But anything you'd like to leave all the listeners with, and any final words?
Just to thank you.
Peter, thank you so much for always still reaching out to the extended scene from what you're usually used to. Because let's be honest, the Indian scene is way too massive, way too good in comparison to what we deal with to begin with. And the fact that you still have the time, the energy to waste your time on a band in Dubai. But yeah, it's a reality. It's an absolute reality, because I like, it's a real shout out to the Indian scene, because I get scared when I just randomly look up certain bands in India. Like, I'm even talking about from the fact of Mumbai, where you are based. When I see certain bands that come out of Mumbai, it bloody scares me, man. We all know how great Gutslit is already. There's nothing else to say about that. But the fact that, so the conversation ends here, only reason being is because myself and Ahmed Alimadi. We know our core audience. We know for a fact there is a huge prog scene in India, huge. And the fact that if we play there in India, it doesn't matter if it's Mumbai, if it's Delhi, if it's Kolkata, if it's like all the way east, we are gonna shit our pants big time, big time. The biggest thing is that playing in Dubai is gonna be a breeze, but playing in India, I am going to fucking lose my mind. Lose my mind. And I will leave it at that. I don't know if Mehdi has anything to say when it comes to playing live, because honestly, he is one of the only people who's actually playing live right now. By the way, shout out to Voice of Wish. Great singer, great artist from Abu Dhabi. One of the only sweethearts that are left in Dubai. I mean, Abu Dhabi, whatever. But yeah. Mehdi.
Dude, I still shit my pants when I play here, so I can't even imagine what it's gonna be like.
I'm a bedroom artist, so God help me. But just to add to what Aaron was saying, so right now, if we were all given a choice right now, and they said, okay, you guys, do you want to play a gig tomorrow in Dubai or in India, Mumbai or whatever? I would choose India in a heartbeat. And again, going back, to the whole scene topic and whatnot, is because I know that even though we may be nervous out of our heads, I have an understanding that that scene is a very supportive scene, and they actually appreciate when you're live on stage and actually putting an effort, rather than having people just in the background crossing their arms and just not showing any support whatsoever. So I would choose that anytime, any day. I would rather get nervous on a stage in India to a crowd, that would clap and try to pick us up, even though we may be nervous, rather than do it here. I'm just going to be, upfront about this.
Awesome. So definitely lots to look forward to. And yeah, maybe now I'm curious and hopeful that maybe I will play India before UAE. Who knows, right?
I really do hope so.
Ask your boys, please.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining me and taking time out to do this. See you all very soon, I guess.
See you soon, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. See you.
And that was Cypher. Do check out their self-titled EP. I've left the link in the show notes. And also follow them on social media to stay tuned on all their upcoming activities. Who knows, maybe they'll play a gig very soon. Before I sign out, do follow me on social media. Just search for Trendcrusher, or follow me on whichever audio platform you're listening to this episode on. Lots more coming up in the coming weeks. See you all very soon. Cheers.